Right, guys, I've had a little bit of an haircut and a shave, and I got like dressed up to go to shop. So always feels a bit better when you have a bit of male grooming, and get the shirt on. This is a lovely fit as well. This shirt, it's, Timberland, Oxford, the classical Oxford with the collars and the colour as well. It's a beautiful shirt, and I didn't wear it for years and years and years, and I dug it out this year because I had other ones that I was wearing, and I always get a nice shirt for the road trips and that. Now, I haven't talked about this before. Our road trip manager, and I've been everywhere with this guy. I've been everywhere, all over, every corner, nook and cranny of Bulgaria. And a lot of the time, in the early days, it was just me and him. And then we would branching out then, and we had a little squad. This couple used to come with us, or AN other people. There was me and him, and then AN other, depending on which. And the couple didn't always come, because she works. She's like a nurse in Sofia, so she can't always go. Betcha. Anyway, he died, and it wasn't unexpected. He hasn't been well since since the lockups, and who knows what happened. He became ill when he had the medicine, and he was never the same again. But he was tough. He was tough, and he managed on like becoming ill. He still managed. He probably did another 5 road trips, and the last one was Sicily, which was just me and him. And I knew, and he knew, that was his last one. That was going to be his last one. Whether he got better or not, he was in a bad way. At the end of it was 7 days, I think, and he was deteriorating every day because it was just too much. It was just, I never got to the bottom of what he got diagnosed with, but like, he took tons and tons of tablets, maybe 20 a day. I don't know what he was taking them for. I used to call them the narcotics, and anyway, so he kept going till the end, and he was obviously, deteriorated. 83, and I was with him on his last birthday as well, in Romania. I think we were in Craiova, maybe, or Patuș-Napoca. I can't remember which one was his birthday. It was one of those destinations. I think it was Craiova, actually. And anyway, and that was a good trip, Romania. So this wasn't unexpected. He's 83, and he was strong as an ox until obviously until he became ill. And he was still strong then. He was still, and he had a great kind of, he was like an encyclopedia. And he just reeled things off as you went along the road. He'd been everywhere already. He was a motorcyclist when he was young, and that was his thing. He just went everywhere, all over Bulgaria. And half the roads he went down had gone. They'd built all the new roads, and he used to say that used to be the old road, and everywhere we went. But Actually, he'd never been to Sicily, so that was a first and the last for him, you know. But this guy, I mean, he was a history buff. He was an expert. He started a business in 1991 when the USSR collapsed and it became a free market. He acquired one of these looms. I don't know what better word to say. It was like a loom fabric machine, and he started with one. And I don't know how he got it from this where he used to work. It closed down. I think they used to make army stuff for military, which most businesses did. Bulgaria was big on it, and it is now. It's regenerated now. So he worked then. He was 53, and he started a new life, a new business, and making wadding. Now, wadding is the stuff that replaces down in jackets. It's the padding in the jackets, and it's also used in mattresses. And he was making that. And he used to get the raw materials from Korea and later on Iran. I don't know whether he still gets stuff from Iran. Anyway, his two sons run the place now, and it's gone on leaps and bounds. And he's still got the original machine. They've still got it in like a little museum room. And he took me round once, and he was like, and he's got a sonder, well, I don't know whether it's secret, and it's tapping in to the hot spring water, and they heat the place with the offices in there. It was up to all sorts. Anyway, and so that was a huge success, huge, mega. And I used to go to these trade fairs, and they used to have kind of, what would you call it? Kind of, they'd meet up and share things about fabric and all the rest of them. We visited quite a few factories on his rounds, and he used to get all these people together. And we used to go to Samakov. That's the skiing place, Samakov. That's one of them. Into the town, a nice town. And a hotel there is fantastic. It's like and it wasn't expensive. And it was good, Samakov. And I used to meet up with all these people who we used to either work with or deal with or meet on these. They have these trade meetings. It's like a network of people. Anyway, and there was also a mob in Smolyan, and we used to go there as well. And a couple of them died as well the last couple of years. And there was a guy there, and he teaches guitar, Elvis. I called him Elvis. And he was good. They were good guys, you know. And there's another guy, George, and he was he just chain smoked every minute of the day. Put one out, light it up, put one out, and he died. And well, he wasn't young. None of these people were young, anyway. And then we used to go to Ivailovgrad, which is on the Greek border, down in the other corner. There's like two Greek borders. There's one next to Macedonia, and there's one next to Turkey. And we used to go down there, Ivailovgrad, and we did a few reconnaissance missions as well into Greece. Nice little places there. You wouldn't even know they existed. There's quite a nice little town over the border. Ivailovgrad, a very sleepy town. There's not much goes on there. But we used to get wine. Like his mate, who died about 5 years ago. They were on these on the border when they did the national service, and that's why I used to go down there all the time. Been down there about 5 times, and they've still got a few of the watch towers on the border, and they have one now as a little bit of a museum. I think you can go up it anyway, and now it'll be Schengen. There'll be nobody there, and they were quite friendly with the Greeks on the border and Macedonia. They used to share the same cabin kind of thing, and like other places have a no man's land where you get the Bulgarian border guards and post, mainly because it's a river, and it's not practical to do one office. So they had one office, and they used to give the passports in to the Greeks, and they just pass it through a window. They like little windows, Bulgaria. They're everywhere. Little windows, kassa. That means cash. Anyway, so we went down there many times, and one time they went ballistic. There was 4 people, and 2 of them served in the military down there, and I'm not sure what the other guy did. He was like a card counter in the casino. He was up to no good in the casinos. Anyway, and you could tell he was like one of these guys up to no good. Anyway, so we went there and he bought all this wine, and the car was on the axles. It was because it weighs a lot. It got about 30 5-litre bottles, 5-litre plastic, the big plastic bottles. There was about 30 of them or more, and they were everywhere. They were on the shoulders and in between them, and everywhere. And the car was actually pulling. It was pulling, coming over the mountains. It was like, I wouldn't say struggling, but you could feel it. I was driving, and you could feel it. It was like on its limit, and 4 people, and all this wine. And then when I looked in the mirror, all I could see is this wine, bottles of wine everywhere, and there was hundreds of them. It seemed. Anyway, we got back, and I didn't buy any because it was like Merlot. I don't like the Bulgarian Merlot. I don't like any Merlot. It's too pungent for me. And I bought some from another place there, which was Shiraz, which they call Syrah here. So anyway, we used to go there as well, and I've been everywhere in the Balkans. We've been to Romania 2 or 3 times, Serbia about 3 or 4 times, Macedonia about 5 times, Albania, is it 2 or 3 times? Albania 3 times, Greece about 5 times as well, just passing through. Sometimes it's easier to come back through Greece from Albania and even Macedonia from a place called Doirin. Anyway, so that was, and then Croatia once, and Bosnia. We've been there. Kosovo. Went there last year. Kosovo. And North and Montenegro. Just once with this mob, with our gang. Anyway. So I've been on many trips with our road trip manager, and now he's gone, and it's a bit of it's very sad, and it's like kind of and he was they employ, his factory now employs about 50 people from nothing, and he was 53 when he started it. 53. It's like Colonel Sanders. So I mean, you'd have to celebrate a life like that. And his house, he had he was a what's his name? One of his hobbies was he was a grafter. He used to graft trees, and you get two lots of fruit off a tree, two different fruits, and all this type of stuff, grafting. And he used to make rakia every year. We had an aggregate, they call an aggregate. It's like a cooperative, only between the neighbours. And I suggested it, actually. I suggested it one year, and we used to all get the grapes and pile them in. I used to get quite a bit, actually. Rakia. Grapes, with grapes. They usually do it with plums in Troyan region. But the plums, they don't seem to do so well anymore. I don't know. I don't think so. And apples, you can make, that's nice. I find the plum rakia a little bit strong. I prefer the apple. You can make rakia out of anything, or like gin or whatever they call schnapps. You can make it out of pears. You can make it out of what's his name? What's the other one? Quince. I haven't tried that yet. They've got it in the shop down at the bottom in the supermarket, but I haven't tried it. Quince. I think that may be nice, so I might try that one day. So he's gone. Our road trip manager is no more. So and on the trips, he's such a and nothing was, and he was like a dynamo. It just keep on going and going and going, and he used to drive me into the ground. And if he could see we were going to arrive somewhere a bit early, which I preferred, he'd go somewhere else. He'd send me elsewhere until we were arriving. He liked to arrive about 6 or 7 on our destinations. And towards the end, I used to say, we don't have to do this. Just let's go there. Check in, and then we can look around the place that we're at. I said his name was Dotcho. I said, Dotcho, we're not seeing the place. When we get somewhere, it's too late to see the place where we're staying. And he said, well, yeah. And then we're gone in the morning. I said, we're not seeing the place where we're heading for. Like Brasov, we went there, and I didn't see hardly anything because it was too late, and I had to drive around the block about 20 times to try and find a parking spec. And in the end, I was just like, I'd had enough, and it was about 5-6 o'clock, and they went for a walk, and I couldn't be arsed at that stage. I've been driving all day. We went to Dracula's castle that day. Dracula's castle, and it's called, is it Bran, the place? I think so. But it's quite commercial, all the Dracula stuff, and it's not true anyway. And the castle wasn't Dracula's anyway, so it was a bit of and the queues to go round it. I didn't go round it. Because, But we went round another castle. It was absolutely fantastic. On the way to Brasov, there's this castle. It was like one of the kings out of those country homes. Absolutely fantastic, beautiful. Anyway, and we went everywhere. Croatia, that was a mega trip. That was great. We went from the top to the bottom down the coast. And you find there's a coast road, most of it. There's a lower coast road down most of the coast. Not all of it, but most of it. And if you get on that, there's no tolls. And we went to Zagreb, Plitvice, waterfalls. A lot of Japanese and Chinese there in droves. Thousands and thousands tourists. And it wasn't cheap. You know, it wasn't cheap to get in. So, and like, you know, they don't have to do much to the waterfalls. They're natural. And you're paying an arm and a leg. Anyway. So that's that's an end of an era. End of an era. And this guy, and in his garden, he had everything. Cherries, massive pear tree. There was tons of pears on one tree. Tons and tons and tons. Apples from all over the world. He had a Japanese apple tree. And they're like quite different Japanese apples. They're quite they're not soft. They're like crunchy. And he had also cherries. I said cherries, didn't he? Quince. In fact, he used to come for my quince. I had 2 quince trees, and he used to come and get the quince from my trees, and make. He used to make he'd make preserves, jams. I mean, these people were incredible. You know, they were just like machines. And he had 3 polytunnels, and the tomatoes were the best. He cultivated them over the years, and these big beef tomatoes, which can be a little bit tasteless, but he did something. And they were tasty as well as meaty. Absolutely beautiful. And they were the best. And so you lose all this when you lose a person like this. And he was tapped into the stream. Over the road, there's this little bridge, only a tiny one. And he put a pipe up and he tapped in to the river. That's what I'm going to do here, tap into that. And he used to fill a tank. He had a huge tank from somewhere. And he used to water the garden. His tomatoes, they need a lot of water. Which is one reason I haven't done it here yet. Because I don't want to put mains watering stuff, you know, because you've got to pay for it. And it'll probably work out more expensive than just buying tomatoes in the end. Anyway, so that was and we used to go, and he took us fishing. Well, I took him, but he had this net, and they used to get these like crayfish they live in the river, in the banks, where the bank gets eroded away by the river, and it's like underneath. They had these nets, and you just disturbed all the bank and dragged the net up, and you'd end up with a load of these little crayfish. And all sorts of like little tiny little tiddly fish, and we did that, and we went hunting for mushrooms. That's a big thing here in Bulgaria. They love it. Gerbi. They love it. I'm not confident enough to go and get, because they have copycats. They have copycat gerbis which are poisonous, and you've got to know your stuff. And so I wouldn't do it. And so anyway, we went everywhere, all over Bulgaria. Everywhere. The last place we went in Bulgaria was Petrich, because I said to him, I want to go to Petrich, and he listened. He said, next minute we're in Petrich. Lovely town. If I didn't live here, I'd probably live there. I'd probably live in that region. It's nice. It's a bit hot in the summer. I'd have to have air conditioning there, but like that's one place I would live. In Bulgaria, apart from here, this region. I was quite impressed with. It's only a small town. It's about the same size as our town. Yeah. So that's it. He's gone, and so my ex-landlady, she was always on about, like, I want to come on these road trips. I want to come, and I used to say to her, "There's no room. I want to come. I want to come." And now I said to her, "Right, we can go. I'm in my car now." And she was quite unresponsive. But anyway, I'm going to go and see her anyway this week, and see if she wants to come, because I'm going to go to North Macedonia in a few weeks. Probably the last week in September. And maybe. I'll see what happens, see who wants to come. Anyway. And I know the places to where to go now, where to stay. And they've got this little republic like a Monaco. I'm quite interested to go and see that. Just north of Ohrid. And it's a place, and they have their own money and everything. It's like they've made it into a little bit of an attraction, you know. Like, you get a passport as well, and all that. So that'll be good. And we'll go there. Sure, and they have a border with Albania, actually. So I'll be heading down there. I want to have a look at some property in there, because it's hard to find on the internet property in North Macedonia. But like, you can find it, but there's not much of it, and a lot of it's like seems to be like 3 years ago. There's nothing current. So if anyone knows anything, yeah. So it's very sad about it. But like, you know, and I used to say to him, I'm failing. You know what I mean? I said, most people don't even get to 83. I said, you've only been sick 2 years, 3 years, 2 years. And before that, you never had a day's illness in your life. And you're fit as a fiddle, strong as an ox. I said, you know, I know that's not really a consolation if you're ill. But like, you know, you've got to look at it sometimes. It's like, you know, if I get to that age and as healthy as that, I'm not even as healthy as he was now. Like when he was in his early 70s, mid 70s. I'm not even that's his stamina, anything like that. That's what he used to have, stamina. He never ever stopped. And we had a little thing about when we had he got into the cocktails. It was probably another thing I got him into. Cocktails. And he went mad on them. He went crazy. Cocktail club. I used to go round every Friday or Saturday. And then he made it into like, you've got to come. And I said, I don't want to come every week. That makes it a chore. I said, I'll come now and again. But like, no, you've got to. I said, I know. And I used to go back, and half the bottles had gone. He drank it all. He drank all the stuff. Well, I used to buy it, like, he used to buy half of it. And there's a good shop in town, actually, does all that stuff. Campari and all that. And you name it. There's a few shops that just do, like, alcohol, specialist alcohol shops. And well, there's obviously demand for it because they like a drink. The Bulgarians, you know, they like British, but like they tend to like more harder stuff, you know. A lot of the young ones now, they're drinking beer and that. And I don't know what they get up to, but like, because they never go out at night. So yes, so R.I.P. our road trip manager, and he's going to be missed, but many good memories, many good memories. You know, I went everywhere with that guy, everywhere, and he's an encyclopedia, never stops. And sometimes he used to talk about Henry VIII, and I was a bit like jaded one night, and he kept going on about Henry VIII and Anne Boleyn and all. I said, Dotcho, I'm not interested, mate. I said, stop with Henry VIII. And you've been talking about Henry VIII now for a couple of days. And I said, just drop it, man. I'm not interested. And it's a joke now. When I see this other guy, he was with us, Daco. He always laughs about it. He always laughs about it. Henry Awesome, Henry VIII. He used to say, Henry Awesome. Because I said to him, I lost my rag a little bit. I said, Dodge, stop it. Henry the fucking 8th. I said, don't mention it again. I'm not interested in kings and queens. Oh, right. And Winston Churchill. Fuck. Oh, you know. And he was like, he thought, you know, you'd be into it and all that. History. Not interested. Okay. Cheers.